Well, as people know, the unemployment rate, the official rate dropped to 9%. And that's good news, right, that the rate is dropping. But there's bad news also. The amount of non-farm payrolls was very small, the growth in non-farm payrolls. The unemployment rate comes from what's known as the household survey, the non-farm payrolls from the establishment survey. So usually you look at the establishment in terms of hard evidence of the number of new jobs created. And less than 50,000 jobs were created. So that's not very good, even though the rate going down is good news. The data are extremely hard to interpret because of all the weather-related issues, and it's going to be the same thing in February. So we've got a couple of months where it's going to be pretty noisy. The one thing that I think that we need to take seriously, that we really haven't had to take seriously in other recoveries, is to understand kind of the weaknesses of the unemployment rate itself. Okay, so we hear talk, well, some people have kind of dropped out. They're not looking any longer. But then the headline is, well, 9%. We dropped from 9.8 to 9% in a couple of months. That's got to be good news. Well, if you actually look at the number of people working, it is a very discouraging picture. And one thing that I did this morning as an exercise is that I looked at the participation rate. So the people in the labor force compared to the population. And in December 2007, just at the beginning of the recession, that rate was 66% in December 2007. Today, it's 64.2%. So we've seen a decline in participation. And that decline is probably people just giving up. And it is a dramatic decline. So that decline right there comes to 4.4 million people. So 4.4 million is not being counted in the current unemployment rate. So those people are not counted. They've just dropped out. So the real unemployment rate, if you put them back, so I'm making an assumption. I'm making an assumption that the participation of 66% in December 2007, suppose it was the same today, which is probably not an unreasonable assumption. So then you add in 4.4 million extra people to the unemployment roll, and the rate is actually 11.6%. Now, people talk about other rates where they look at people that are employed part-time that really want to be full-time. If you do that, you're into the 16% range. I don't think that those numbers are that meaningful, because if you're working, and I've said this before, if you're working 20 hours a week but really want to work 40, you're counted as 100% unemployed in that kind of what's called the U6 rate. So it really should be a fraction of that. So I think for me, the unemployment rate is 11.6%. That is a disaster compared to other business cycles, where we are so far after technically the end of the cycle, that we're faced with rates that are double digits, and we're just fooling ourselves to think that the true unemployment rate is 9%.